Welcome back to all our listeners. It's that time of the week again, where we discuss all things FPL on the First 45 podcast, brought to you by Craig and Darren.
Hello, you're listening to the First 45 podcast. With me, as always, is Darren and Craig. How are you both, guys?
Yeah, I'm
Very good, thanks.
Yeah.
Looking...
Didn't know who to go first then, did we, Daz?
No, I'm all good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, mate. Not too bad. Not happy that Craig's just taking the lead on me for the first time this season in our mini league, though.
Big week for you, Craig, eh?
Yeah, very happy with that week. It's all panned out for me in the end. I think a couple of differentials in there worked out.
Happy days.
It's a mess at the moment. Yeah.
Shall we talk a little bit about the game weeks? How have you both been getting on? Starting with you, Craig.
Yeah, as you said, it was a good week. Moved from 139k to 87k, so a massive move, a big 50k upside there with a 97 score, minus 4 points on that. Dallas and Rashford definitely my standouts, bringing in 29 points and obviously are not owned by as many people, so really good.
What about you, Daz?
Not so good for me, mate. 64 points and unfortunately another red arrow, 16k to 26k. I was doing all right until the Leeds-Southampton game last night, but obviously saw the result. And you know when you know you've had a bad night and you're kind of scared to log on. I've only just actually logged on and noticed my rank. It
wow,
kind of reminds me a bit of that bit of dog shit in the garden where you're scared to go. You know it's there, it needs dealing with, but
you don't know if it's got any worse.
Yeah, but yeah,
maggots coming out of it.
There it is, anyway. But
oh dear, that's the fourth red arrow in a row. That's
yeah. But you know what? 26k is still a good rank. So we
very
move
good,
on.
mate.
Move on.
We can joke away as much as we want, with the small demise that you've seen in the last few weeks, but you're still 26k, and that is still a fantastic position to be in, mate.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
You got to take the positives,
and
you'll turn around.
Yeah, I mean, hands up for me, really. I missed out on the Leeds guys. I didn't captain Bamford and no Rafinha, no Dallas, so I can only blame myself, really. The warning signs were certainly there, especially with Rafinha. We spoke about him a lot last week, how good he's been looking, and double game week, he should have been in my team, really. And to be honest with you,
very surprised you didn't have him. We were waxing lyrical about him on last week's pod. I was so surprised to see you didn't have him.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I could probably count myself lucky that it wasn't even worse, because that first game against Wolves, he could have gone off big time, and obviously Dallas as well. Very unlucky to lose his clean sheet, really. So, yeah, hands up from me there. I targeted the Saints guys, really hoping. I know there was a chance we were going to get a double in 26 as well as 25 and 27. So I kind of went for a bit of a gamble. I'm trying to second guess the Premier League fixtures, but it's not worked out. And here we are.
No heart overhead there. Then you think that was just fixtures?
Yeah, I think it was. Wow. Maybe it was the subconscious heart overhead, but I was always going for Ings. I fancied Ings as the best captain candidate for this week, so I've got no excuses there, but almost certainly should have brought in Dallas over Vestergaard and perhaps looked at Rafinha and maybe for Souček perhaps. But
we move forward, don't we, mate? And like I said, you're still in a good rank and you can obviously rectify it now. Luckily, Rafinha's still an absolute snip down there at 5.4 million, so it's not like you're going to have to fork out 0.5 million more or something crazy like that. And of course, it's the latter part of the season, so you're not really worried about things like that. But you just rectify those mistakes in a week or two's time when I guess fixtures look a little bit better for them. Yeah, and the big double game week 26 is a good chance to put it all right anyway. Absolutely, agreed.
It's one of them, isn't it? It's always disappointing to get a red arrow in these double game weeks, because as kind of more keen players, we do take an extra little bit of care and attention to trying to prepare our teams for these double game weeks compared to, say, the average FPL player. So normally you expect to see some green arrows, but as I say, another big chance this week for one.
We've lost Joey.
Here he is.
He's back.
It's fucking disconnected 3 or 4 times already. But he's just fucking
looks like he's about to go get on the golf course.
He's going to be livid.
I'm surprised we haven't seen that door slam behind him, to be honest, and some of those picture frames fall off the wall. Goodness me.
I've had a few games of FIFA with old Joey in the past with controllers hitting the wall, so a few more cutouts and the old laptop could be out the window.
He's definitely got a rage on him, hasn't he? Bless him. It's not come out just yet. I'll tell you what, Dazza, I'll move us forward whilst we're waiting for our host to sort out his connection.
He's blaming it on the missus now. He's having a row with her.
I can hear him, Barney in the background. No Max this week. Yeah.
Oh, Christ almighty. Connection. I was going to say as well earlier, Dan, there was big talk of you not even joining this podcast tonight, based on last night's performance as well.
Back in the room.
Whilst I've got connection.
To be fair, he's not wrong though, Daz. Prior to you letting us know that you had some stresses with your house renovation, and we won't go into it, but it sounds particularly frustrating, shall we say. We just thought you didn't want to pod because of your Ings captain failure.
Yeah, I've had a few issues, mate, but here we go.
He's here with gritted teeth. He's here. He's made it to the show, which is great. So I think we're just about to talk about double game week 26. Joe, if you want to lead us in.
Cool. So I can talk a little bit about double game week 26 then. Perhaps we should start off by talking about any chips you're going to use, and perhaps if you can give us a rough plan of what you're going to be doing with your chips now and into the future. Daz, do you want to perhaps kick us off?
Yeah, no worries, mate. So I've only got one chip remaining other than the wild card, obviously, which is the triple captain. I do plan to use it this week. My plan was to get Kane in, but I'm not 100% on that because, as you guys know, it would mean selling Salah and then taking the hit for Kane. I mean, Kane... If I had Kane, I probably would stick the triple captain on him. I think he probably is still the standout, but with the form they're in, I'm not convinced by that one. Do I really want to sell Salah before a double game week? No, not really, especially for a hit. Spurs, I think if Kane was in the form he was in earlier in the season, I'd probably be moving heaven and earth to get him in my side. But right now, I'm probably gonna take the gamble and not own him. I'm looking at either Bruno or Gundo for the TC.
Interesting. That is interesting because most that own Kane or are trying to move heaven and earth, as you say, to bring him in will likely captain him or maybe even triple captain him. But I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm not even sure I'm going to bring him in.
No.
I'm really not sure. I'm not even sure it's worth a -4. I mean, I would have to take out one of the blank game week 29 players, and it's not ideal, is it, when you're trying to put together a team without perhaps using a free hit. And I'm thinking to myself, the only other player that I can take out that hasn't got a game in 29 is someone that's probably got the most plum fixtures and someone that is in form, which is DCL. And I'm not going to do that. That's ludicrous. I mean, I almost look at Calvert-Lewin and Kane. Put money aside, put perhaps the bigger team aside. Certainly over the last couple of seasons anyway, Spurs have been that. They've outperformed Everton. I think they're like for like.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
I really
with
do. It could go either way. I mean, obviously on his day, Kane can go and absolutely blow up, and he has got those 15-point game weeks in him, so he could easily go and chalk out 20 points over the double, which is great, particularly if you triple captain him. But he could easily go and get 7 or 8 points across the 2 games. Maybe 1 goal, maybe not picking up the bonus, or he might get the bonus and he gets sub 10. DCL's easily got 15, 20 points in him as well.
Yeah.
Really tough, really difficult decision I've got to make at the moment. A lot of people are sort of very cut and dry, it seems, on the Kane decision, particularly on Twitter. But for me, as you say, Daz, I'm not convinced by it.
I don't care how bad Liverpool are playing right now. I don't want to sell Salah before a double game week, and then I think it's Fulham home next game week, right?
It is in 27, isn't it? It gives you an option there for captaincy as well.
I've got Sonny in there this week. I've got Son in there who I could consider, but my gut's kind of not really leaning towards Son. Something's not quite right for me there with Spurs. Not sure on
Spurs
on
at the moment are ranked 18th for expected goals in the last 6 game weeks. That's
outrageous.
Using the fantasyfootballfix.com Opta stats box, and it says here 4.19 expected goals, 18th in the league. Just to put that into perspective, Burnley's expected goals is above them in 16th place, 5.63. Newcastle's is above them as well in 15th place, 6.37. Just goes to show that they're just not doing it in attack at the moment. That really surprised me, I have to say. And in terms of big chances as well, again, using the Opta stats sandbox here, 5 big chances. It's terrible, isn't it? I mean, and again, they are 19th. Now, I know you can say, well, Kane hasn't played all of those games over the last 6 game weeks, but he's played 4.
Yeah. How did Kane look in the last game. I didn't actually see the game. I heard he was actually looked quite sharp.
Yeah, he looked good. And I think that's perhaps where the blinkers might be on a little bit, or maybe they're on for me. It's one of those where I saw a bit of the game and he looked good. He looked like he could have got a double points haul, to be honest. He could have easily got a goal and an assist or a couple of goals, for sure. West Ham are pretty tight at the back as well. But still, I don't know. It's when you've got Bruno, who, to be honest, in the last season and a half is the best asset in the game. But I still think we're still not leaning naturally towards him because maybe we have this affinity to Salah's and Kane's from yesteryear. And, KDB's obviously, I don't know. But I don't see many people captaining Bruno.
Bruno right now is the standout FPL asset.
Best man, isn't he?
Absolutely. It's just the
something out of nothing.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw the last game. I mean, he just seemed, even when he's not having his best games, he just seems to pick up these assists, and he can get a penalty, and he's just a machine, isn't he? Fantastic.
He really is. It's one of those ones where you see, and I think again maybe we're not inclined to captain him, or the theme is that, you see the casuals typically will, or, the dead teams have still got the captaincy on him. So he's still quite well captained across the game.
Yeah.
But again, from people that play it with a bit more attention, maybe there's a thing to be said that it's just United's inconsistency as a team. Maybe that's why we subconsciously don't want to lean towards him. But I mean, he's literally the main man and he carries that team.
Yeah.
And even if they're not looking great for 80 minutes, he can go and still walk away with, 9-12 points by getting a goal and all the bonus or whatever.
Yeah.
It's insane.
And I don't want to do him an injustice there by, I just said, he can get a penalty, or he seems to pop up with the odd assist where you're not expecting it, because he is fantastic. The runs into the box, he's always looking to get on the end of something, make something happen, shots from the outside the box. He's just brilliant. Love him. Great player.
Yeah, I really like him. So I've not ruled him out as a captaincy option, but I've not ruled Salah out, which not music to your ears, I'm sure, Darren, as you're thinking about whether or not to bring in Kane or not. I mean, I'm likely to go without him. I might just bring Son in more from an insurance perspective, just in case Spurs do somehow string something together. But again, I'm not very keen on captaining him. But I've got Rashford there, and I know Rashford's done me well, to be fair. But again, he hasn't got a game in 29, and his double isn't great, and he blows hot and cold. So the move to Son for me for free and nothing else is okay. Again, he got double, but he's got no game in 29, has he? So at least with that move, I'm not only am I bringing in a player that's I'm going to have in 29. I mean, I don't think you can not have Son and Kane in 29. If I'm honest, if you want to try and come out of that game week unscathed. So that's a sensible move for me, really, anyway. And I don't know if I really fancy, making the minus points. I'm going to play bench boost, in terms of answering the question, Joey. So for me, chips-wise, I'm going to lay down the bench boost this week. And mine's not bad. I mean, I'm quite happy about bench boosting with 3 single game week players. I've got 12 doubles, but the 3 singles, the Dallas, Rafinha and Bamford against Villa at home. And Bamford got a hat-trick in the reverse fixture away. Not that I'm expecting him to go and work wonders again like that, but that for me is fine. I'm happy with that. The bench boost is guaranteed points as well, right? Even with 3 singles there. I've got Pope as the keeper, so he's got a double, not a great one, with Spurs and Leicester. Spurs away, I believe. Obviously Spurs away, and then Leicester at home. But again, could be a 6-7 pointer from him. It's just a double, isn't it? And, trying to walk away with sort of 15, 20 points on the bench boost, at least it's guaranteed. Whereas triple captain, I don't really like that chip. It's such a fruity one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anything could happen. At least with bench boost, you're guaranteed points. I'm absolutely guaranteed 15, 20 points.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any differentials that are standing out for you this week, Craig?
Yeah, for me, I'm really happy to own Digne, to be honest. It's not a route for everybody, it doesn't seem. Looking at your team earlier, Jerry, doesn't look like you're gone that route. So, that's a standout for me. I think he's close to a must-own for this game week.
What's the ownership, Craig? What's the ownership on Digne?
4.4% if you take out the dead teams. So 38.4% dead teams at the moment. Again, that means no transfers made within a few game weeks to be related to dead. So, 4.4%, that's tiny.
That's low, isn't it?
Really low. 8 assists already this season, not many clean sheets, but if he gets a clean sheet, and I would expect him to get 1 attack in return, if I'm honest, at home to Southampton and away to West Brom. I'll be surprised if we don't see an attack in return from him. When you consider that Southampton have got injury crisis at the moment down that right-hand side, they've got no KWP, so the likelihood is we're going to be throwing Bednarak in the mix. Well, good night Bednarek, because Dini's coming storming down that wing, and I'll tell you what, you're going to have your work cut out, my friend. Unfortunately for us as Southampton fans. But yeah, I think he's one that is a good option. If you're on wildcard, he's an absolute shoe-in for me. You've got to put Dini in there, if I'm honest. And outside of that, I mean, it's scraps, really, you know, in terms of looking for some good differentials. You know, with Grealish's injury, you could perhaps be looking at Traore at Villa. He's got 5 goals and 2 assists in his last 12, so it's not bad. It's almost a goal involvement, you know, every other game or better in that instance. So yeah, I mean, he's someone to perhaps look at, but again, doesn't fill me with loads of confidence. Only 0.5% owned as well. And then you've got Matthias Pereira at West Bromwich Albion. Not someone I would bring in, if I'm honest, but again, talisman for the club, and they need to do something. It's the fixtures, I think, with that. You know, he's the absolute go-to man for West Bromwich Albion. He's got 5 goals and 4 assists this season, and they've got Brighton and Everton at home. So you think to yourself, look, they're going to... Honestly, Sam is going to have to get at least 3 points out of those games, in my opinion. He has to try and win one of them.
How did they not beat Burnley? I mean, I know they had 10 men, but the chances they had, Jesus Christ.
They were all over them, weren't they?
Yeah, got away with a cleanie there for old Popey boy.
We did, didn't we? I think we all owned him, didn't we? So yeah, definitely got away with that. And others, obviously, that had some of the Burnley defenders for sure got away with it as well. Because, as you said, West Bromwich Albion were all over Burnley. And I like that. Dianya that they've bought as well. He looks brilliant up front, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. He looks great. And he's caused a nuisance. The goal against United was very good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good. Probably too little too late for them, I think, and unfortunately.
It is too little too late, absolutely. If you're looking for someone that's just a blast off, you know, trying to make a bit of a difference, then, you know, someone for this week. But I don't think, you know, we're going to be leaning towards that. So it is pretty scraps, really. Someone that you might lean towards, though, is Richarlison. Again, no game in game week 29, but if you're navigating that with a free hit, then bring the man in if you've got wild card. Someone that's, you know, there to help you increase your rank. You know, a lot of people will go DCL highly owned, sure. But again, Richarlison's done all right in the last couple of weeks. He's got involved in the goals, a couple of goals for the lad, one against City and then one in his last game as well against Liverpool. Yeah, 5.2% owned.
Yeah, good shout, mate.
What about you?
For me personally, I'm going template this week. I'm bringing in DCL, but whilst we're on Everton there with Richarlison, I guess James has got to be a good option. Still under 10% owned. Yeah. Lovely little assist for Richarlison against Liverpool, and with the fixtures there, we could see some big returns, I think. Yeah,
he's got that in him though, and he's got that vision where he just plays those balls, those just KDB and Ozil on his prime balls, where they're just like, wow.
Yeah.
He's got that in his locker, as we all know, and the long shots as well. So yeah, Hammers is a good shout, to be fair.
You could tell he's just a step ahead of others there, just like the one touch and pass, like he just sees the picture so quickly. It's good.
Would not surprise me in the slightest if he came away with, you know, circa 20 points this week, James Rodriguez. It would not surprise me at all. If he gets a goal and a couple of assists, he's definitely capable. It's the assists, perhaps more than anything. You know, shit takes a share of those set pieces with Digne. But it's easily a chance there for him. So, yeah, and I like that.
I think another interesting one, I know you kind of earmarked Traore there for Villa if Grealish is out, but if he is out, I'm not sure what the news is, but perhaps El Ghazi? I mean, we saw a little spell earlier in the season. The amount of shots the man was having was incredible, and certainly got an eye for goals, so yeah. El Ghazi could be one to watch.
Yeah, for sure there was.
Would you, on the Villa front, with Grealish out, do you tend to shy away a little bit from Villa assets with him missing, or do you?
For me personally, it's kind of if you own the Villa assets, don't sell. But I wouldn't quite buy it. I'm going to keep an eye on them. I was looking at Watkins this week, but I'm going to just keep an eye on Villa. What is the news on Grealish anyway? By the way, boys, I'm not sure. Is he out long term or short term or?
I think it's at least a month. That's the rumour.
Really?
Could be until game week 29. And again, you know, we'd probably want him for that game because he could do something at home to Spurs, particularly with how they're playing at the moment. But yeah, it could be a good few game weeks, which is actually a terrible time from an FPL perspective because Villa actually have a really good run. So. Yeah, I know you're talking about Watkins there, Daz. I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, Leeds and Sheffield United away I think that's pretty decent. I think that there's got to be an attacking return in there. Like, I look at that and go, you know, there's two teams there that ship in goals. So I know they're both away, but you know, you've got to see something there. And he has, as you said, you know, El Ghazi, Traore should be able to step up to the fold. Not sure if Barkley can. Again, he's so hot and cold, but can he come in and just try and do something in the shoes of Grealish? But after that, they've got Wolves at home, and then they might have a double game week in 28 as well. Newcastle away and Everton at home. So That's before the game in 29. So Villa for sure are a team that I'd be giving a lot of consideration to. But it's one of those, without Grealish, I'm just like...
I'm a little bit wary.
Maybe it's not buy, is it? And it's not a sell. So I've got Martinez and Watkins, and I'm not going to sell either of them, obviously, because they've got a game. But do I go in and buy someone like a Troy or an El Ghazi? Probably not. Do I add to the defence as well? Now they've got Conso, who's a good player. Get in there, he also likes to... He's got a bit of a goal threat about him as well. Maybe if you're trying to obviously put together a team for 29. Outside of that, though, I'm not so sure.
Cool. All right. So, obviously, Ben Crellin's fixture predictions have come good. We sort of know now what's going to happen on our way to game week 29 and the blanks. Have you got any more thoughts now about what you're going to be doing in game week 29? Starting with you, Daz.
Yeah, it's going to be hits for me, mate. Possibly one or two hits, and then try and field 7 or 8 players. I've got Bamford in there as well as a few West Ham assets. I'm probably likely to hold on to the likes of Antonio and Souček now that I've carried them through the difficult, shall we say, fixture without selling them. I did kind of have my eye on the Leeds guys for Souček, Rafinha for Souček, but now that I've come through that game, I'm reluctant to sell him ahead of that blank game week 29.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Just try and hold on to what you've got. You haven't got the free hit, have you, Daz?
No.
So you've got no choice but to navigate. I mean, I don't have it either. So I think we've lucked out. And you referenced it on the last pod that Aston Villa Spurs game is a saving grace for everybody. I mean, without that, you're in all sorts of bother. The likelihood is that you're going to have at least 3 players from those two sides, perhaps 4. If you consider Son, Kane, Watkins, Martinez, I mean, you're definitely going to have 3, in my opinion. And without that makes it very difficult, I think, for non-free hitters that don't have it, and also for what people like myself who's trying to navigate it without. So I'm going to be doing hits as well. Actually, looking at it, I tried to do a little plan earlier, bit of pen and paper, old school, a couple of Excel spreadsheets, and looks like I can maybe muster 11 players, which is insane, really. That's for 2 hits.
2 hits, 11 out.
I can get 11 out. Decent 11 as well. Not shabby either. I mean, might even have a Uber differential in there in Aubameyang.
Here he is.
There we go.
Mate, that could be massive, to be fair.
Well, exactly. At home to West Ham. I mean, sorry, away to West Ham. Bloody hell, we will get these right. We're looking so far ahead. Home away, all blurs in, doesn't it? I still see those colours at night when I shut my eyes, Daz. The Ben Crellin colour, the colour spreadsheet. They're all blurring into one at the moment. But yeah, it could be. I mean, again, by the way, that sounds like a luxury move, but I'm then looking to dead end my squad, aren't I? I'm going to wild card out of it.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? If you've got that wild card there to use shortly after, you can take. If you've got the money there, why not take these punts? I quite enjoy the game weeks.
Salah's not got a game.
The game weeks leading up to your wild card are always quite nice. You can have 1 or 2 punts. Yeah,
again, and it's not all going to be built around him. I'm likely to try and bring in someone from Brighton. Got a nice fixture at home to Newcastle, but I think that probably the best play in that fixture is a Brighton defender. Potentially, again, they've got some real bargains there, so I'd probably remove Loughton, who I've got and can sell at the moment for 4.4 million. So it gives me another asset. As I said, I've got the Leeds lads at the moment, so there's 3 already there. I've got a couple of Aston Villa lads.
Looking at Fulham?
Bring in Son this week. No, I'm not looking at Fulham. The reason I'm not looking at Fulham is because the fixtures in between 27 and 28 are horrific. They've got Liverpool away in 27 and Man City at home. I just again, if they didn't, Lookman would be top of my list from a Fulham perspective. I like Madger up front, but again, Lookman is a proven asset throughout the season so far. I think he's looked great every single game. Yeah, really good player. And outside of them, outside of those 2 guys, I'm not too sure there really. I like their defenders. I think they're looking pretty good going forward. There's that Aina, is it? I don't know how you pronounce his name. Aina.
Yeah.
Don't want to get my pronunciations wrong. But yeah, that guy.
He prides himself on his pronunciations.
I like to get it right. Yeah, I don't even know. I'm not even really been looking.
Reguilon.
So I've got
Reguilon.
Yeah, but so no, not for me, Dazza. And then look, you got the West Ham and Arsenal game, and actually looking at my planner, you won't believe what I've also thrown in here. And again, it sounds like you'd be like, "God, it sounds like you're losing your head here." But it's a regimented plan where I don't make a hit in 26. I probably make a hit in 27 because I don't think I can do without Kane at home to Palace. So I might bring Son in this week, and then I might have Kane next week. It all depends whether or not DCL's got the double game week in 28, which is a potential. If he has, then not too sure I'll make that move. But then in 28, I would have I would actually make any transfers, and then in 29 I'll make 3 transfers for a -4. So basically it's a -8, and the additional player which is fruity like Aubameyang is Lingard as well, because I've taken out Antonio and I've taken out Souček, and there's no room for them. There's no room for Antonio because I'll have Bamford, I'll have Kane and Watkins, so I just can't fit Antonio in, which is frustrating. But again, when we've got such limited resource, and what I mean by resources is transfers, I can't muck around to try and get Antonio in. So the next best thing is Lingard. So I actually will have a fruity team.
Jay Lins, he's looking good.
Decent,
he looks very good. I mean, we're just talking about differentials. There's one right there for you for game week 29.
Yeah, and again, look, because he hasn't got the double, maybe that's why we haven't talked about him prior to now, right? Obviously, we're bringing it up, talking about 29, but I guess it's the Man City game away in 26, which doesn't look ideally appealing, and then you've got in 28 Man United away. I mean, they're not...
Which you'll be ineligible for.
Of course, yeah, absolutely, yes. I'm not even thinking straight there, yeah, absolutely. You won't be able to play that one. So he's only got, he got Leeds at home, and again, still pretty tough. So it's weird. You're going to have to hold on to those assets, Daz, aren't you? Like that have you got Soufal, Souček and Antonio?
Yeah, I've still got all 3, mate.
You're gonna have to keep them, but your likelihood is you're gonna have to be benching 2 out of the 3 in the next sort of few weeks, which is not ideal. But
yeah, I mean,
it is what it is.
I'm quite happy to field Antonio against anyone. I think he's that sort of player where he can do the business there. So Antonio's fine. The other 2 is not so great. What about just on Lingard there? Say if you on your wild card, I don't know what West Ham's fixtures are like after that, but what's your thoughts on Lingard versus Souček? Is that somebody you would consider over Souček now, or
I would.
You would, yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it is. It's someone I'd probably consider moving to, actually, and coming away from Souček. I mean, we know what Souček can do. It's a luxury move, but as you said, if you're on wild card, then certainly it's someone that I would consider. But I think the price point is a little bit of a put off. I think he's 5.9 million, so it's, you're probably selling Souček for about 5.2, and you've got to do away with 0.7. And I think you're starting to enter into that sort of mid-price bracket. And for me, at the moment, the standout option in the mid-price bracket is Harvey Barnes at 6.9. I mean, I know he's a bit more, but you're starting to get into that territory. And when you're doing that, I think it's hard to put out 6 million maybe for someone like Lingard. And you mentioned the fixtures; they're not actually great.
No, they're
not. Post 29, they've got Wolves away, Leicester at home. They've got Newcastle away, which, they could get anything in, but then it's Chelsea at home, Burnley away, Everton. I mean, it's a mixed bag. Yeah. They're not great. They don't jump out at me. I mean, it would be the time, I think, where you'll probably jump ship. And I know even with your 3 West Ham lads, you'll probably lose a couple of them at the very least.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Cool.
Right. I'm going to move us on to community questions, which are your questions from listeners who write into us at First45Pod. We read them out every week. We pick the best ones out. And I'm going to give you 3 now to go through, guys. So the first one is from Kaya FPL, who has asked, bench boost better than triple captain in 26 due to the record number of fixtures. Daz, what do you think about that one?
I think it's the standout week for your bench boost. If you're still holding that bench boost chip, as long as you're set up okay for it, I think now is the time.
I mean, you'd go with that over the triple captain, yeah? Like looking at what options are available?
To me, if you're holding the bench boost chip, it's probably clearly the standout game week, and the chances are you've been preparing for this game week. So if you're holding the bench boost, there's a good chance you've got decent amount of doubles in your squad already in preparation for it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it's, for me, if I own the bench boost chip still, I'd be gearing up for I'd have earmarked this 26 long time ago and be ready to activate.
Yeah, and even if you stumbled across it and you're now thinking to yourself, actually, I could use it now. I mean, there might not be many better opportunities, to be honest. If you've got enough double game weeks, then you're okay. And I think the very fact that the Leeds guys have Aston Villa at home, it's an all right fixture without Grealish, isn't it? I mean, you start looking at that thinking, hang on a minute, there could be goals there. Southampton aren't a terrible side. They've been in bad form, but they got rolled over 3-0. So I think, Villa, who got rolled over at home to Leicester, you start thinking to yourself, Leeds should get something out of that. There should be a couple of goals for Leeds there. So
yeah, definitely.
Bench boost for me is one of those ones where I would use it now. And then you can, start to discount some of that value in your team that's just knocking around. Start moving it to outfield players that you want to obviously feature in the 11 every week in the build up to 29. I think that's the perfect play, and then you can obviously wildcard perhaps just after that.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, on a side note to that now, that over Christmas and New Year, it felt like you had to have a strong bench because of uncertainty with fixtures. It seemed like actually a lot of points were being scored from the bench anyway in previous weeks, but I feel like that's going to come to an end after this double game week. I don't know about you.
It definitely feels like it, doesn't it? It really does feel like it. It could be the last good opportunity to use it, if we're honest, and most people might have used it already, but after that, there's still uncertainty, isn't there? There's uncertainty about what the game week is going to look like, but also, it's a guaranteed points chip, which is what I really like. And obviously in a double, that's fantastic. You're going to get a lot of points anyway. And then to get another 15, 20 points almost as a minimum upside, brilliant. Because a lot of people will be playing their triple captain. And of course, they could blow up. They could get 25, 30 points for their player. So they're going to get obviously an additional 25, 30 if you've captained the same player as that person. But at least you've got that fallback, that insurance that you're going to get 15, 20 points from your bench boost. So yeah, it's a good time to play it.
I think with the bench boost as well, it's the only chip where it's kind of a relief when it's gone, because if you have got one or two dead players in your squad, you haven't got to worry about them for a few weeks if you think, if you don't need to.
Absolutely. And I've seen some teams and they can't play it because they've got Peacock Farrell in goal or something like that, and it's just like you just can't play him, can you? Or even like Fraser Forster I've seen, and so yeah, I'd be a little bit frustrated if I was in that position, because you don't really want to be making -8s, trying to then play your bench boost. But yeah,
cool. Moving on to the next question, which is from FPL Kaza. So that's FPL_Kaza, who's asked, what's your opinions on Watkins and Aston Villa assets as they have extra games but lack the form and missing key man Grealish? So we've obviously talked a little bit about that, so perhaps if you can just very quickly touch on it.
Yeah, I don't mind diving in. As you said, we've already referenced Villa without Grealish, and for me it's just one of those ones where it's a little bit of an unknown, isn't it? We've seen Grealish feature throughout the whole of the campaign, and Villa have looked good. What are they going to look like without him? Well, they didn't look good against Leicester, so I am definitely a bit more wary. There's still value in that team, though. They're still playing well. Watkins has been a great acquisition for them this year. He looks like a goal getter, but outside of that, without Grealish, it does look a little bit more difficult to assess Villa. And what Grealish also brings is the alleviation of pressure from the defence, and I think that's underrated. He actually holds the ball up really, really well. Can't get it off him. He's always being fouled. You think how much that slows the game down? A lot. He's getting chopped up minimum 5 times a game, maybe more, and that just buys 10 minutes of time, doesn't it? Where they obviously are up the field in the opposition box, where he's whipping balls in as well from those free kicks and things like that. So I think a lot can be said for his involvement just from taking away the pressure off the defence. So you watch. I don't think they'll be keeping as many clean sheets without him. I can almost guarantee it.
That's interesting. If that 28 double got announced, I think regardless of the Grealish factor, you probably would dive in. But it's for me right now, I've got other fires to put. I want to get DCL in this week, so it's probably just one to keep an eye on. Use the double in 26 as a platform to keep an eye on them, see how they're looking.
Yeah, you talked about DCL there, Daz. Just quickly on that before we move on to the next question, because I'm intrigued, obviously, myself. So you've talked about DCL, you've talked about Kane, you talked about Salah. Have you got 2 free transfers?
No, I've only got the one transfer. It's Danny Ings to DCL for me. See you later, Danny boy.
Yeah. You'd then actually make perhaps a -8, would you, to get Kane?
Yeah, that would be an additional 2 hits. So probably, if I was bringing Kane in, I probably would swerve DCL, to be honest with you.
Right,
I see. The -4.
Go from Ings to Kane. Yeah. It's interesting that we're kind of in the same boat there, because it could really sting us. We could jumping on the pod next week, and I know Joe obviously has got Kane, so we do quite well out of it. I assume, but it's funny how we're both kind of doubting that. And I know the play probably is Kane really from a security perspective, because he could just go mad. But
if I'm
not sure about it.
If I owned him, I'd triple cap to him 100%. It's just one of them where. Do I really want to
move him in for a -8 or -4?
Yeah,
no, agreed. Yeah, I'm definitely going to probably cover off that at some point. Obviously, for the game week 29, we need to get him in. But is this the week? I don't know. It's going to be a high scoring week anyway. There's some good fixtures, and I know you own some good players like Dean, and you bring in DCL as well. I mean, even those alone, with those 4 games that they're going to have, obviously between the 2 of them, West Brom and Saints at the moment, plum for me. And there's City boys have got good games. Gundo could do the biz, so yeah, you might be all right, but we digress.
Looking forward to lording up the.
You thinking of
Kane
captaining him then, Joey, or
massive
what? Have you
points
got
haul
Kane?
next
You
week.
get a captain him?
Well, I've got Bruno down at the moment, but
Yeah, I saw the curve when you posted the team, and I thought to myself, "There's no way he's captaining Bruno." I thought to myself, "He's got Kane, and he's brought him in, so he's going to be invested." I think to myself, "You're going to go Kane. I reckon you're going to regret it."
don't know. His record is fantastic against lower opposition for Kane, and even when they're not performing well, you've got to look at him. I think it's just for me at the moment. I guess I was kind of swerved by Fantasy Football Fix's predictions and projected scores on Bruno. That's probably what's swaying me at the moment, but I've got to do a little bit more soul searching on that one before I make the call as to who gets the armband.
They've got Bruno Fernandes head and shoulders above everybody, which is unsurprising, really, when you crunch the numbers and you use the algorithms. He's the man, isn't he, as we talked about at the start of the pod. And I think we still turn the blind eye to him a little bit, and maybe it's the fixtures, that he's got this week, but he could do it. He could do it. Chelsea are untested at the moment against the top.
He's in my thoughts, mate. Bruno for the old triple captain, definitely.
Triple. Yeah, it'd be nice. He doesn't have to do much, does he, to get you 15 points, which he can get in one game. So even if it doesn't look like it's worked out.
As we spoke about earlier, we spoke a lot about how he probably is the best asset in the game right now, and we don't know if he's going to get another double. I'm assuming he's probably not. Best asset in the game with potentially his only double game week of the season. Yeah. It's all pointing towards a good play, I think, for anyone with the triple captain chip.
Agreed. 45 points in his last 4 games.
It's insane.
Wow. And do you know what? I've watched a few of those games, and he's just been sort of lurking a lot of the time. He's not actually had one of those games where he's been in the heart of it in a while now, and I'm expecting him to do something big at some point in the near future.
Yeah, you see someone like KDB, and he's always involved, isn't he? He's always involved. He drives the team forward. He plays the balls out. He plays amazing balls. Sometimes, he has a game where he has a couple of good shots on targets where he might get a goal, but mainly he's just creating everything, and he moves around the pitch, doesn't he? That's just the way they play. But as you said, sometimes you see Fernandes, and he's like a passenger for 20 minutes. He just moves around the middle of the park. Sometimes he drops in a little bit, and then he just explode into magic, can't he? I mean, he's got, for me, he's got more magic in his boots from a goal scoring perspective than what KDB's got.
I would tend to agree with that. I think we're seeing a very special player in the Premier League.
Yeah,
really are. 15 goals and 12 assists this season is absolutely insane.
Mate, it's from last season as well. The impact he's had since he came has just been incredible.
If you look at his record since he's joined, he's outpointing Salah quite comfortably, isn't he? As a sort of, what was previously the best asset. I know that obviously Liverpool have had a bit of a dip this season, but, even into last season when Liverpool won the title, Bruno's outscoring Salah there. And I think that says everything about him for me.
Yeah, it does. Brilliant player. Really good.
Cool. So let's go on to the last question, which is from our very frequent provider of questions. That's FPL Flag. So cheers as ever, mate, if you're listening. They've asked, when is the best time to wildcard if not doing it in 26? Thinking game week 30 or game week 31 when the fixtures start to turn. Craig, I know you've got some thoughts on this, so perhaps you want to lead us out on that one.
Yeah, I think FPL Flagged hit it on the head. I had a discussion on Twitter about my plans for the foreseeable future in terms of the next 5-6 game weeks where we're in chip season now. We've got wild cards and bench boosts and triple captains to play. And I've got my free hit, but I think I'll use that later as hopefully another cherry on top of the ice in there and try and push me up the rankings. And from my perspective, I think the wild card is perhaps a 31 play. I referenced that it might be a 30 play, but actually when you build that team for 29, then in game week 30, you've got Villa against Fulham, Villa at home. So again, you might have a couple of assets there, which looks pretty good. You've got Spurs away at Newcastle, again, a couple of assets. There's already maybe 4 or 5 assets that you own with decent fixtures. Leeds are at home to Sheffield United. Most people, I would imagine, will have 3 players from Leeds because they're pretty much the most informed team, certainly from a goal scoring perspective going into that 29. So all of a sudden, you've got sort of 7 or so players there with decent game week 30. And then also West Ham United are away at Wolves, which might be interesting for you to learn about as well, Daz, as you'd probably like to have 2 or 3. And I think that's a fixture that West Ham can go and get at as well. Wolves aren't quite the team that they were last year. So, yeah, and then there's a swing in 31. You've got Spurs at home to United. Is that then time to move out some of those Spurs assets? You've got Liverpool playing Villa, and Liverpool are at home. So again, you've got your Villa assets away at Liverpool. Could be pretty tough, depending if they turn their form around. And then Leeds are away at Man City. So yeah, it does turn. And with those 3 teams that I've just talked about there as well, the fixtures thereafter aren't great. Like, I'm not going to then have 3 Leeds lads after game week 30. They've got Sheffield United at home. Fantastic. That's really good. And hopefully they go out of the bow, because they've got City away, Liverpool at home, Man United at home, Brighton away, which is tough because they're pretty good defensively, and then Spurs at home. So I think that'll be the end of owning 3 Leeds lads. I think I'll be refining it back down to 1 or so. So yeah, that's probably the play for me. 31 looks like the ideal time to wildcard if you still got it.
Yeah, I agree. 31 for me as well, mate. I think as you've just touched on, the likes of Villa, Tottenham, Leeds, all players we're probably going to own in 29. It just makes sense to carry them through to game week 30, doesn't it? With them,
yeah, absolutely,
nice games, and then move on from 31 with a new squad. I think that's a good play. Yeah. Something I'm definitely looking at.
The only other consideration to have there is, as you said, that is the play. I think it's almost a given with the way that the fixtures fall, which makes it a lot easier for us. It doesn't really seem like we need to make a decision there. It looks like 31 is the given. But you've got Chelsea at home to West Brom in 30. Now, that's probably the time that, if I was to wildcard, that's the time when I'll start looking at Chelsea assets with the good fixtures that they've got. But you can always do a hit, couldn't you, in 30 and bring in a couple of Chelsea lads for a -4, so it's not the end of the world. So that's another thing to obviously consider, is that you're not going to wildcard just because Chelsea have got a plum home fixture to West Brom. But again, you could take a little punt that week on, say, an Alonso or a Werner for sure.
Yeah, good shout.
Cool. Shall we move on to our 4-a-side, which I'm hoping is going to be a little bit more organised this week than it was last week. I mean, it was fantastic listening and even to spectate watching the draw last week.
Me get the picks all wrong.
Oh, it was fantastic. I noticed
myself in the foot, left, right, and centre, wasn't I?
I've noticed you haven't got any beers at the moment from our conversation so far. So Craigo means business.
You've got your game plan set out, Craigie.
Got my game plan set out this week. How are we going to pick it though? Because I think we're neck and neck, aren't we, Dad? So that could be a fruity decision for us.
Thankfully for me, you did mess up a bit, because it meant I picked up old Dirty Dallas and got me back in the game. I could have been finished. Could have been done for.
Yeah,
you could have been 20 odd points behind, because I'm certain, like 100% certain, I was going Dallas. Yeah. So that was a shame, because I had to then think about Vestergaard. I can't sit here and say I was definitely going Melia. I might have tried to cover my bases there. I mean, I think he probably was the standout option. McCarthy, for me, as a reference on last week's pod, I'm still a bit worried about his place. I know you guys said that you're not worried about it, but I'm still a little bit concerned. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you got Dallas after my complete balls up was it's probably good for you, Daz, putting us neck and neck. Otherwise, yeah, there definitely would have been 20 points or so in it.
Makes for a good comp going forward anyway. Level
I agree, my friend. And the community are top, aren't they? So, in terms of the update for the 4-a-side, they're top, aren't they, Joey?
Yeah, so community are leading out with 147 points at the moment, and you two are both lagging slightly behind, tied at 145. So
great week from Lucy Hynett last week with her picks, I think.
Fantastic.
Well done, Lucy.
Work from Lucy. And we'll quickly talk about our next community guest in just a second. I just want to recap for anyone who perhaps is listening for the first time. 4-a-side is our First 45 podcast charity competition. The guys all pick a 4-a-side team made of one player from each position, and the loser of this is going to be donating £100 to Mine Charity. And each week we've got different members of the FPL community on Twitter that are joining us and taking on Darren and Craig. And their points total will be combined, and if they beat Craig and Darren as well, the guys have agreed to pay an extra £50 each to Mine. So it's a really good cause we're playing for here. It's made for some great banter, and it's made for some funny listening as well. So I hope we're going to have an interesting pick in just a second. So this week, taking on the guys, we've got Gemma, whose Twitter account is @GemmaBaggies. Big Baggies fan, has had a top 1,000 finish, something that only Craig and I could dream of. Yeah, it's fantastic scoring. And we're going to listen now to what Gemma's team is. So let's play the tape.
Hi everyone, this is Gemma Eno here, also known as Gemma Baggies. I'm really pleased to be taking on Craig and Darren for game week 26 in the charity four-a-side competition by representing the community. An interesting fact about me is that I once sang on television when I was 9 years old on a programme called That's Life, presented by Esther Ranson, which is going back a long, long time. As for my picks, for goalkeeper, I've gone with Hugo Lloris, who is 5.6 million. A defensive Spurs team face Burnley and Fulham, who I don't expect to score, so he's guaranteed a couple of clean sheets there. In defence, I have chosen Everton's Luca Dean, who is now 6.1 million, probably one of the best left backs in the Prem at the moment. He is playing a very dodgy looking Southampton and my beloved Albion. I think he's looking good for at least one clean sheet, and he absolutely loves an assist. Staying with Everton then, up front, I have chosen a player who I think will still be on a high after winning that penalty against Liverpool, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, DCL to his mates, who is now coming in at 7.6 million. He is going to run Southampton ragged, and he scored a hat-trick against the Albion at Goodison in the last game between the two sides, so I'm expecting something similar to happen again. Last but not least, and this may be me following my heart rather than my head, I've chosen my main man, Mateus Pereira, who is now only 5.4 million. How he didn't score against Burnley is still keeping me awake at night. I think he'll really want to prove himself in the next couple of games. He's on all corners and free kicks, and he's been looking really, really dangerous of late. I think he's going to smash in a free kick actually this week. So that brings my team to just under 25 million, 24.7 million. So bring it on, lads. Do your worst. No way are these four players going to be beaten this week. Bye.
Got a baggie in there. It's not actually that Template Temple, to be honest. It's quite fruity.
No, it's not Template Temple this week, is it? That's decent from Gemma. I like it. She's thrown in a little curveball in there in Pereira. That's nice. I like it. Real good picks. You never know what's going to happen there. That's decent, that.
Yeah, no real surprise to see a baggie in there.
No, not really, no.
Yeah.
Not with their fixtures as well in the double. You've got to go for it, haven't you?
Yeah, I quite like that. Good team, Gemma.
Yeah, good. Could stump us, yeah, with that 1 point lead as well. Hopefully it doesn't amount to a lot more in terms of the lead. We tread in water, won't we?
Right, so you ready for the draw, boys, for this week?
Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on. Before we go into the draw, who's picking first at level pegging?
Well, I think it's got to be Darren's honour, hasn't it, considering you had the honour last week?
Yeah,
your head.
I think that sounds good. That sounds fair.
The honour.
He's got to have the honour.
You must be able to.
Well, I'll tell you what. All right, I'll do a very quick draw. Let's see what
Draw.
Yeah.
What about a question?
Yep. So I've got a
Trivia.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the opportunity here. Golf ball. I'll let you pick, Craig. All right. I'm gonna put it in one of my hands. Yeah. Hole in one with this ball. I'm going to put it in one of my hands.
Get that in there, didn't he? Not just a trivia question about football over the last few years or anything like that. He had to show off that he got all in one. Jimmy,
pick a hand.
He's invited him.
This one or this one?
It didn't actually look. Cause this is definitely fair. Wasn't even watching. It's too busy. Considering
fucking hell, he's looking hard to try and find the ball, isn't he? It's unbelievable. Just pick one.
Right, your right hand.
This one?
Yeah.
It's in that one, mate. So
That's a picks first.
Darren picks first.
That's DCL then.
Right, shall I lead us off then?
Yeah.
Kick off, mate.
All right, yeah, I'm going DCL. 7.6.
Don't you make the same fuck up this week, Daz.
Gundogan.
That leaves you Watkins, Craig. Right, you got Gunday.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go 4. I'm going to go John Stones. 5.2.
He's smart. He is smart. He's not falling into the same pitfall.
I'm happy about that, though, because that means I'll have Dina, mate. Oh, no. Aberdeen. I'm not doing that again. I'm not getting on that again. Not again.
We've got to take your first answer, I'm afraid.
Fucking hell.
I will have Edison.
Jay.
Come on.
I think we got to let him have it. He can't
let it
help
slide.
himself, can
I'll
he?
let it slide.
Right.
You got Edison, yeah?
Yeah, I've gone Edison.
Okay.
Mate. Martinez was my number one pick, to be fair.
Okay. So we're...
Who are you thinking?
I'm gonna
He's
go...
thinking about, he doesn't want to make the mistake.
It's done now, isn't it? It's done, I think. I'll go Pereira in midfield. I'm going to follow Gemma. I think that's a good shout.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm going Pereira. 5.6.
Do you think she's giving you something there? A bit of, because I have to say, I think she's giving you a bit of a tip there, isn't she, Dazza? You weren't touting him, were you?
He was on my shortlist, mate, and I saw Gemma picked him, so yeah, I'm going for it. I'm going for Pereira.
Fair play, mate. Fair play.
It's more of a fixture play, I think, and he does look a good...
I need to make sure I calculate this now before I make another boo-boo. So what have we got? Because I haven't got DCL, I know I should be okay here. So we've got 6.1 mil for Gundogan. I've gone for Edison, 6.1 mil. I'm going to have Digne, 6.1 mil.
That's who you're looking at, isn't it? So
yeah, but it gives me plenty for them, and my next pick, yeah, should be all right. Yeah, I'm good. Just about golden.
You got them.
Luca Dean, is it?
Yeah, but have you got all your picks, Daz?
I need just my keeper.
You need a keeper, don't you?
Yeah,
She'll go,
so
mate.
I'm going to go Martinez. I think I'm in within budget there. I better do a quick tot up. No, yeah, I'm well under. I'm well under. I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to go final pick, Watkins.
Good stuff.
24.8 million for me. What about you, Daz?
Oh, I've not calculated, mate, but I'm well under. I've got Stones and Pereira in there, so I'm pretty confident on.
Yeah, no, you're definitely with those kind of averages around the sort of 5.5s, 6s, yeah, for sure.
Right, well, don't forget to let us know your thoughts on Twitter at First45Pod. Hit subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. And from all of us here, have a great double game week this week. Look forward to hearing from you soon.
Yep, good luck,
Cheers,
guys.
Joe.
See you,
Good luck,
boys.
everyone.